Hello everybody, this is Tim with the weapon of the week. Somebody had asked if I could go ahead and make a Gladius. I had already made a Gladius, although I didn't provide a build along for it, and I thought this is a good opportunity for us to go ahead and try our hand at one of the greatest swords history has ever known. Sword of the Roman Empire. Probably adopted from the indigenous swords of the Spaniards. The early swords were called the Gladius Hispaniensis, and they tended to have a very highly, gladius-shaped, leaf-shaped blade, wasted and then with a pronounced bulge towards the end. You probably have seen stuff like that. This one doesn't, however, that's entirely consistent with the later Pompey-style gladii, as well as the spada, the Roman cavalry sword, which was a little bit longer, also used for hacking, slashing, stabbing, very much the same sorts of things. The Roman gladius was basically a large knife. This is towards the upper end of what a gladius would be in terms of length, which is about almost a 2-foot long blade. It's like a 23-inch long blade. That's really pushing the limits of a gladius. And then I actually used a 1/2-inch pipe inside and built it up. I did a whole bunch of work on this that was probably unnecessary. So what I'm going to do for this one's a little bit different. It's going to be very similar, although I'm going to make it out of only one length, 2-foot length of PVC pipe. That's great because you're going to have a lot of these if you make a lot of 48-inch long U3 curved bows. You buy the 10-foot long pipe, you make 2 bows, and then you're left with a 2-foot chunk. So what do you do with it? I've already showed turning that into an Assassin's Creed style dagger, stuff like that. It's pretty darn cool, but hey, I'm all for variety. Clearly, I like the Roman weaponry. So let's get crafting. Let's go. Welcome to my workstation. Right here we've got the model, which it will not really resemble, but still, just to look at. We've got the core that we're going to use, 2 feet long. I've marked 3 points, 18, 18 and a half, and 19 inches. My plan is to go ahead and make the handle right there, right on my hand, to put a little bit of a widened grip area here, or not a hand guard, but whatever the heck that is, that bulgy thing, because they don't really guard the hand, I found. And then we can cap it off at the bottom with some of this. So that's why I brought in a scrap of 1-inch pipe, which I just happen to have lying around, as you do. So let's get flattening. This is easy, compared to flattening the big swords like the rapier and whatnot. This is much shorter. We're going to be able to get this thing really nice and flat, I think. Oh, also note there's a little bit of tape on here, some of the label. I suggest just hitting it with the glue gun, or with the heat gun, and then you can just start to edge it off like that. It'll just come right off. And if you hit it again, the label will tend to shrivel under the heat. So there you go. See, it's all melted away now. All the glue is easy, right? And then if you want, let that cool. Hit it with a little Goo Gone, and that'll peel right off. Good as new. But for now, by the way, that's how I get a lot of these markings, burnt spots on here. Glue from the pipes comes down here and then polymerizes, or whatever it does, decomposes. Go hit it from the end. And why not? Let's put a little heat down the other end just for good measure. So, just so everybody knows, I do have on my radar another project of PVC armor. I flattened out tons and tons of strips of PVC, mostly half-inch pipe, but also a bunch of 3/4-inch pipe. And my plan was to make a, I think it's a dough, that's what the samurai breastplate is called. So I've got all the components, it's just a matter of me getting up and trying and doing it. Mostly I'm just waiting to work up the willpower to use my power drill. As you can tell, I tend to do most things by hand, for better or for worse. But if I had the power drill, I could drill holes through a whole stack of them at the same time. If the cuirass is going to be more of the new style that's metal and looks like it's just welded together, but made to look like it's a bunch of plates, laminar plates sewed together, or rather just threaded together. It's easy if it's just made to look it, but if it really is going to be threaded together, that's a lot more complicated, and it's going to take a lot more work, thus the drilling in holes. So it's entirely possible that I'm really just barking up the wrong tree and I should be thinking about just gluing the plates together. There won't be a problem with that. Okay. There we go. Now we have a nice heated pipe. Now ideally, you would take two of these boards and you just clamp them together. Tell you what, let me go get one and I'll do that again. Just to demonstrate. So now we have hopefully a suitably softened Gladius blade. I'm going to go ahead and stick this thing on at the 19-inch mark. Tell you what, just for good luck, let's try 18.5-inch mark since we've been having so much success. Let's take that clamp and let it do its magic. I know I'm blocking the view. Give me just 1 second and then I will reverse. There we go. Pretty good. I think we can get a little bit flatter towards the tip end, so I'm actually going to apply my own weight up on that side. Tell you what, I'll move this thing down towards the end, and we'll let it clamp towards that end while I'll crush this side under my own weight. I'll put that off the side, and then I can lean here. I'm trying to get the flattest possible blade that I can, putting as much of my body weight on there as possible. So after a second or two, we should be able to take this thing off. You see, again, this is not fully flat. I'm going to get that separately. It's not a big deal. Great. I'm actually just forcing air down it to try and cool it faster. Cool. Once we have this blank done, let me make sure you can see all that. Yeah, great, you can see everything. We're just going to make sure it's straight and then get to work. I'll flatten the tip just again, but don't be too worked up about it because you're probably going to end up cutting away a good portion of that anyhow. So don't be too concerned at this time. Do not panic. Do not panic. Everything is under control. Check for straightness, and it's definitely not straight, but we can fix that. Okay, that's better. Okay. So now I have my blade. It's a touch crooked here. I'll fix that. I'll flatten this. And as you can see, it's a touch cocked off to the side. I'll just heat that and straighten that. But then basically we're ready to do the final shaping. Here we have our finished sword blank. Nice and flattened at the tip. Nice and straight. And I corrected the handle area too. So we're ready to finish it off, more or less. What we're going to do is assemble it and then put on the finishing touches. So for each of these sections above and below the grip, I want about 1.5 inches, let's say 1.5 to 2 inches on each side. So let's start off, and of course I don't have a marker. That's alright. Okay, I see exactly what 1.5 inches would be, and I'm going to take off first 2 inches for the bottom. Okay. Here we go. I have a mark right here. So we're going to make the 2-inch mark, and that's going to be the cap for the bottom. Then we're going to make a slightly smaller one for the guard right above it. I'm going to try and even double it up beyond that, so we'll see if that works. I want this to be a little bit thicker, larger than that Gladius was there. Should be a little bit more authentic. And that should be cuttable. Very good. Great. So that will be our butt cap. It sounds kind of odd, doesn't it? But yeah, there it is. There's the cap for the butt. And then I'm going to make another one. And we'll put that on above the grip. That should slide off in a minute. And yeah, that's going to be from the end to just about the M there. We're actually going to want this whole piece right here to be soft. So I'll just go ahead and soften more than just the place where I'm cutting. Alright, let's try cutting it off. Right about there. There we go. That slides right off. Now let's slide this one right on. Great. That's right where we want it, right at the 19-inch mark, say. Or, yeah, right around there. That's fine. I'm just fiddling with it. Just put it wherever you like it, bottom line. I'm going to take one more section and I'm going to try and ram it on top of that. That's going to be hard, but that's really what I want to do. If I have to, I'll slice it open and I'll glue it on top. We'll stretch it around if we have to. Now I'm doing it right to the K. Okay, now cutting at the K. try and slide that on over. That's, oh man, that's just going to be impossible. So we either would need to stretch it out and then try and heat it. If I put it in just an inch and then I wedge it as it's cooling, I may be able to expand it enough to the point where I could slide it on top. So that's what I'm going to try and do for the moment. Never done that before, but there you go. See, it's expanding it out. Oh, the things we do. I'm telling you, my hand is, gloved or not, it is hot. Yeah, once I sand this other piece down, I think that'll be enough. So let me try and take that off. Oh, good luck with that. Okay, so that's pretty much on there. I'm going to go ahead and sand that down, and then I'm going to try and force this on there. I've gone and tapered the bottom of this with a file, then I tapered the inside of this with a file. As we know, it's already sort of ballooned there at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and heat it again and see if I can't force it on properly this time. That would be nice. You don't have to do it, but I just think it'll look a little classier with it on. About as soft as it's getting, so here we go. Forcing it on, and over. Yes, I will win. I might need to keep heating it though. Oh, for what it's worth, I also went ahead and cut the blade, the tip. Thought this would be as good a time as any. That should do it. Now let's just keep on seeing if we can force that sucker on there. Darn it. Usually with a twisting motion it's easiest, but I'm not getting much farther. This has got to be about as hard as it was to force 3/4 inch pipe over 3/4 inch pipe. So, as I imagined, it's difficult, but I'm getting there. I think another second and I'll really be able to declare victory over the pipe. I got a little piece of plastic beat me. One more little dose of heat. But as you can see, it's getting really close. Whew. Did I mention it's hot outside, and doing this sort of thing is really silly? You know how much heat I'm kicking out into my house that I'm just destroying with my AC? One system's fighting the other. Okay. Here goes nothing. Yes! Victory! Okay. I got one to sit on top of the other. Nice. Okay. Then all we need to do is slide on the butt cap, which again I think sounds amusing. There we go. Now I'm going to be ready just to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that was on all the way. We can glue all these parts together and flatten the bottom, and there's the tip. To get that leaf blade effect, if you want to do a Gladius that's of the type the Mainz Fulham or the Gladius Hispaniensis, you'll want it to be tapered. I'd suggest starting off with a 1-inch pipe for the whole thing rather than a 3/4 inch pipe if that's your plan. In any case, just go here through, say, 1/3 of the way through up to the second third. So roughly the middle third. You're going to want to heat that area, particularly at the center. So just heat and then move out. Heat, move out. Heat, move out. Until it starts to round. You'll naturally get that little wasp waist right there. And that'll look pretty cool. So we can do that next. Gladius. And here is the new one. Not yet completed, but basically ready to go. Note, substantially shorter. Bigger guard up here. And the pommel cap, that's fine. Both of them they're just different. I don't really care one way or another which way it is. In this one I used a lot less hot glue, but I used the, dab your finger in water method to pack it down, and it looks very nice. This one I didn't really take too much of a care to. I just went ahead and wrapped the darn handle with duct tape. So, let's go ahead and finish this off, because like you can see, it's basically done. All I wanted to do is now give it a little wasp about 1/3 of the way up the blade. So right here where it says PSI is where I'm going to be aiming. Basically, if you start heating it in one area a little bit more intensely and then you move to heat a wider area, you're still going to get puffing in that first area that you started heating, which is just what I did. I started heating the PSI section a little bit more. That's where I want the puff to really begin. And I don't want to return it nearly to full round. Another way to do this would just be to cut out the sides. Like I said, use a wider blade and then just cut out the sides. That would work wonders, but that's not what I'm planning on doing here. So yeah, we're basically taking it out of round, or out of flatness, back to round. And then if you want, this is when you can re-straighten it if you need to, re-tweak that. And then if you want to reduce the wasping, just flatten it a little bit there. That'll be fine. I just want a bare hint of it, just to show that I mean business, that I'm really doing it intentionally. But just a hint of waspy. Wasp tails look good on diamond stars and katanas. Those are aircraft, but it doesn't mean I want to see them on every plane. Okay, there you go. See, it is fat there. If you don't want that, if you care about that, then by all means, either go ahead and flatten it up again, or just cut it. And that's up to you, exactly what you do. Me, I prefer it to be a little bit more on the flat side. I like the Pompeii style Gladii. I find them more attractive than the leaf-shaped blades, but to each their own. That's just one way to do it. Now, if you remember the Hobbit blade, the sting blade that I made, that one, I went ahead and I cut it out. So just use that technique if you want. Use this technique if you want. Doesn't really matter. This one will yield a blade that's a little bit more solid and durable. The other one, you'll have to, well, you'll do something because the sides are basically cut open. So there it is. You ask and you receive. This is my new Gladius. Basically if I had to compare it to a style of Gladius, I don't know, maybe the Mainz Fulham or the Gladius, it's shorter than a Gladius Hispaniensis. It's really short. It's like 18 inches long, maybe 19 inches long, and maybe 17 inches long is the very shortest you could get a Gladius blade. This one is about as long as you could get with a 23-inch blade. The blade is almost as long as the entire sword there. So that just gives you an idea of what sort of things you can produce. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, great. Check in again. I'll have lots more cool stuff cooking up. And you may want to tune in next week. I've got a really, really cool build coming up with a rapier. I basically already finished it. Now I'm just going to be painting it and decorating it and collecting more videos so I can make a good, thorough build along for you guys. It's really, really something to look at. I don't recommend necessarily doing it the way I did it. I'm just doing it that way because I'm using the materials I have. There are better ways, so just take things with a grain of salt, and remember, you might want to go to your local plastic supply store. It's probably easier than cutting up a PVC pipe. That said, thanks for watching. Come back soon. I hope to see you again.